Gary told me you guys were a pretty loud group, but I told him I had a $100 bill and wanted to know who lost it. Got quiet.
Halfway.
We can call the meeting to order at the Public Works Building on Tuesday, March the 25th at 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll do the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and Tammy, would you lead us in that, please?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that you are Lord, our God, our Savior. We thank you that you are our help in times of trouble. We thank you that you are Lord, our God, our provider, and our strength and our peace. Tonight I ask you, Father, that your hand be upon the City Council meeting, that your hand be on each member here, Father. Help the council direct them, Father, in the right thing to do as far as the City of Mexico Beach. Help us to always remember, Lord, let the meditation of our heart be acceptable to you, the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart always be acceptable to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we call the roll, please?
Mr. Linderman,
Here.
Mr. Adams,
Here.
Ms. Hamilton, here. Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mayor Wolf.
Here. On the consent agenda, we have minutes for January the 28th, February the 11th, and March the 13th have been reviewed and accepted. We gave our names, we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Minutes are accepted. Move to the first thing on the agenda, business, which is the amphitheater at Parker Park, and the bids, and some more.
Good evening. As you are aware, we went out for bid for the amphitheater structure at Parker Park on March 12th. We received one bid, and we debated on whether or not to open it or to rebid it, but in the end we decided to go ahead and open it. That bid is from BGN Contractors in the amount of $209,518. There is one caveat in there in that we had included 180 day time frame for construction. We have since found that the trusses will actually take a lot longer than that to construct. They're asking for a little longer than we anticipated, and they're asking for a 240-day project completion timeline. This was a design build, so this isn't a hard bid. So that is, they can submit modifications. The truss that they included in their bid is the one that was one of the ones that you all selected. It has the wavy roof, and that is taking a little bit longer to construct, but we asked them if they went with a simpler design, if it would decrease the time frame, and they said maybe like a week or two. So might as well go with what you want, in my opinion, and wait a little bit longer, but our recommendation is to approve the bid as received.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and open it to public. Any comments from the public on it? Looks like you're safe. Don't leave yet, though. Go ahead and move back to the table. Anything at the table? I'll go ahead and start, I guess. Obviously, we're looking at 8 months from start to finish, sometime in December, November, December.
Yes.
Okay. My question is more on the line of the funding side of it. There's a lot going on in this bid, and it says if we want to use it for we budgeted at $280,000. The project's $209,000. We obviously budgeted right. We got a good bid. We should be able to do it. I see that we're asking to use Parks and Recs fees instead. Why are we doing that?
That is done as an option, as we look at the bigger project picture. Depending on what happens with the 15th Street pedestrian bridge, we may need to find additional funding for that. So using impact fees for this amphitheater project would free up those funds for the 15th Street bridge. However, there is another funding option for the 15th Street bridge as well, and that's the half-cent sales tax, the local option gas tax.
And that would be my pitch, is I looked at, came in this afternoon and talked a little bit with Mike, financial director, and checked out the funds that we have. I'd rather stick to, and this, I'm talking to the council here as a decision, I would rather stick to our budget. If we stick to our budget, we keep that impact fee of $473,000 going into our next budgeting process. So if we go into our next budgeting process with that money in there rather than using impact fees, that means we may be able to use it in that budget year and lower our millage rate possibility. We budgeted this, let's go ahead and use our budget, do what we did, and get it done. Not take the impact fees, carry the impact fees over, use the 0.5% that we get from, for infrastructure that actually covers the 15th Street Bridge. That it could cover that additional $300,000, we can get moving on that. There's actually $948,000 in the 0.5% infrastructure fund. To note, has not been used in over 7 years. We get about $12,000 a month on average. And what we should be using that on a variety of, this is the 0.5% that was just approved to go another renewal for 10 years in Bay County that we all probably voted on. And that 0.5% says increase neighborhood safety, pedestrian path, construction of sidewalks near schools, reduction of flooding, reduction of traffic congestion, improve local roads or bridges. So we're covering it. I would suggest we go that way rather than make all those changes with this amphitheater. Stick to the budget.
My comments are somewhat on the same line. I felt like we might have been putting the cart before the horse a bit, like this was kind of tied to the bridge. You know, we've talked about it before, and I knew the bridge was gonna come back, and I figured this would kind of be in tandem with the bridge, that we obviously need to make the decision on the bridge. If we were to go this route with this money, because if we do it this way, we're automatically assuming that we're using these funds for the bridge. So that was my only question and concern. Do we make sure we do but now Mr. Wolf has come up with another avenue of funds for the bridge, but we're not here to discuss the bridge. So I guess, as he says, we're here about the amphitheater, and we have the budget for the amphitheater already here. So, I mean, we either should move forward with that, but we need to be cautious of, I think, with the bridge thing too, because originally we were kind of tying that together. Maybe we should just deal with the bridge when we deal with the bridge. And use these funds that are allocated for this amphitheater.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Use the budget.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have two questions for Tim. On the impact fees, is there a requirement, a city requirement to use those fees within a certain amount of years, or they could potentially go back to the?
Yes, there's a provision currently in your code that after, I believe, 6 years, maybe 7 years, that it goes back to whoever paid it.
Yeah.
So why you would want to stockpile that money, I don't know.
Yeah, so Chris, do we have any idea how old those funds are, or how much the oldest funds are in that pot?
Not yet, we're just starting to look into them.
So guess the second question to you was, does the same thing apply for this half-cent sales tax we get from Bay County? Do we have to use that in a certain amount of fiscal years or years? Is it forever?
I don't know that there's that same restriction. The only reason you have a return provision is because it's in your code for the impact fee.
Okay.
The half-cent sales tax is a different animal, and I'm not aware of a refund provision
Okay.
on that.
And I'm not recommending we tackle this today, but I think in the future we need to re-look, because that's a self-imposed restriction on, I don't think it's a state or county requirement.
No, it comes out of a St. John's case that, that was upheld, that had a 6-year term before a refund, but the case was really about something other than the impact fee. So I haven't seen any other authority on you gotta give it back or there's a time limit beyond that case. Everybody seems to cite that case, but there's not been another case I've found that said, oh, well, after 14 years, you gotta give it back, and that's okay.
Okay, thank you. So, Chris, do you have something else in mind for the impact fees recommended in the upcoming budget plan?
Not at this point, we're just starting the capital improvement plan.
Okay. All right.
I think you bring that up, and the capital improvement program is something we've talked about a couple of meetings ago. To get that put together, Mike's gonna work on all the impact fees to find out how much we have in each impact fee. And then when we go to budget, that's gonna be a credit to our city. We're not, we may have an $8 million budget this year, there's a possibility we may have a $7 million next year rather than go to 9. I mean, we could look at those impact fees and use them. They haven't been used properly in a long time.
And I believe the intent of impact fees is to use it to offset the cost of that development. And so,
New infrastructure.
new infrastructure, so I think that's where those funds should go. And we should probably look at spending them annually as we get them, plan for that, to offset those impacts. And we can talk about that later, and so, I'm okay with what you're suggesting. It
Yeah,
sounds
and the
like a
only
good
reason I brought
option.
that up because there was some talk about the 15th Street Bridge using their recreation money for that, and I don't think we need to do that. I think
Yeah.
we need to stick to what we budgeted and go for it. We're under budget on the cost, so move forward. We'll try to create something.
So, what is the plan if we decide to go forward with the bridge to cover the additional cost?
I personally would suggest using the 0.5% tax.
Okay. So, can you clarify again then what you're recommending for this, how to pay for this?
Out of the budget, that's already budgeted,
Okay.
$280,000.
And it's not ARPA funds, is that correct?
No.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we budgeted 280, and we just 224, we got 50,000 under budget, so to me, that's the way it was, what we had in the budget.
Is there anything we're not seeing as far as the build and stuff? I mean, we're getting exactly what we wanted. We all went through the 150 pages there.
Yes, as far as we know, everything is included. There's always unforeseen conditions that, you have to watch out for, but, and we know that our bid package included the soils out there, because we know that there's some question about the soils, and so there's an enhanced foundation that is being proposed for the project to offset the soils out there. There's I think the only thing that the city would have to pay for would be the building permit, but that's.
Offset the soil, the 209's in there?
Yes,
That comes
yes,
in.
yes, it's included.
Do you have a motion to move forward, or any comments, people?
So we're gonna, one question, just on your bid, since we're accepting the 14,695, you're saying you will be responsible for the construction administration?
Yes,
and
that's part of,
inspection services?
that's part of our fee that has not been expended yet, so we will come down and inspect that as that's being constructed.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to move forward on the amphitheater bid.
Have a second?
You have to
Review the price
see the price.
with,
Oh,
With the budgeted funds.
with the budgeted funds, at the price, let's see, the bid came in at
Total of 220.
224, 213.
Actually, it's 209,518.
Okay.
209,518.
Yeah, so at the budgeted price of 209,518.
I say.
Should I never include the engineering on it? The 224?
We had already approved that task order.
Yes.
That's all.
You've already
Right.
approved task orders, that's separate. Yes, you've already approved that in a separate motion.
Okay, just making sure we did.
All right, take the roll, please.
Mr. Linderman,
yes,
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes,
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes.
Good deal, we'll get it going, thank you.
Next topic on the agenda is the recycling service and franchise agreement. Chris?
And Mr. Bracken is here to present. This is our first franchise agreement. So what the attorney and I, or what the attorney did was create that franchise agreement with a little input and suggestion from me. So we're gonna do a couple of things tonight. The first is receive the presentation on what Florida 27 Recycle is. And then the second is going to be to get guidance from the council on if this is the agreement that you would like to move forward with, if there are changes you would like to make. And at that point, we will send it over to Mr. Bracken for him to take a look at. He has not seen the full agreement yet, pending your changes or suggestions.
Did Mr. Bracken want me to say something first before we go to citizens? Yeah.
Do you have the presentation to make tonight?
I did. Thank you. I'll be back. The reason I'm late is because I did print it, read it. So we've been in service, providing recycling services in Franklin County and City of Port St. Joe, Gulf County since December. We've been going full steam, starting with about 40 customers from City of Port St. Joe to Franklin County. We've been growing ever since. We've expanded to pretty much all of Franklin County, going from Apalachicola to Carabel, Alligator Pools. Right now we have right at 210 customers, residential and businesses, including City of Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, East Point, St. George Island, Carabel, St. James Bay, Carabel, Alligator Point, Stickney, way out there. We provide a weekly pickup service to their customers. We collect aluminum cans, tin cans, cardboard, paper, all the plastic materials, and glass bottles. We provide the customers with residential customers with either an 18-gallon tote or a 48-gallon bin. The business customers, they get the choice of all the above plus a 28-gallon bin or a 200-gallon bin. Some of the bars, they can go to a twice-a-week service just because it's a bar and I don't want to trash the recyclable materials they accumulate and stay stagnant for that period of time. So we are collecting all that material. Right now, since November coming forward, our cross-contamination rate, the contamination rate includes unrecyclable items, trash, stuff that's not recyclable, just mixed materials that we're learning. We hit for the month of March, currently 1.2% cross-contamination. And talking to some of the municipals in Tallahassee, Marietta, Florida, Dothan, Alabama, a cross-contamination rate of 5% is a big win, and we're hitting it. Our largest right now is like 1.8%, and that's because probably the bar, and it's coming down every week. That our cross-contamination rates come down, mainly because every week I send a report to our customers about how much we've collected, how much was contaminated, and give some examples to them. So we kind of slowly educate their customers about what is the contamination so they can prevent it from being included in the recyclable bin going forward. So far we've been very successful with it. The customers have been very open and very compliant. The rental guests that we've been entertaining, they've been really open to it. They've been following our instructions. They've been reading what's non-recyclable, and they've just been following the instructions. If it's not, I send a note to the property owner, the property owner contacts the renters, and they usually just fix it the next week. It's been really working well. I've seen your draft of the franchise agreement, and it looks like we've copied a lot of stuff coming from a solid waste service. So some of the stuff within the franchise agreement, they may not apply to us. But I don't know I don't think this is the correct meeting for me to talk about those items. So, on our recycled pickup, and I'm communicated this to Ms. Truitt, we are currently using a 12-foot enclosed trailer. I pick up. I'm in the process of trying to acquire a new truck, acquire another vehicle, maybe more of a box truck, a step truck, because my next employee that we hire, I don't want them dragging a trailer. It's just too much risk. I can handle it because I'm very, very careful. It's my business, and I don't want to risk having any damages to property or to an individual. So we're in the mix of getting another vehicle. I have job ads out posted trying to get another employee, get an employee with the sorting. Right now, I am the only person doing this work, and I'm getting close to my bandwidth, so I'm trying to get ahead of it. We are collecting all of our materials, storing it in East Point. When I have enough to transfer up, I'm taking it up to Jackson County, Marietta, Florida. Using their facility, they are using their baler to bale the materials and process it to be sold to the fiber materials for cardboard and paper, and mainly a lot of the stuff is going to go toward Tallahassee for the aluminum cans and the plastics. So they're been accommodating us, trying to get us over the hump where we can actually get another piece of property and start getting a baler, a compactor baler for ourselves, and process it locally and keep our business going. I did not know how much plastic one water bottle it took to create a bale. It's a whole lot. So, and we're doing that with plastic water bottles and the milk jug separately. The 5s, which would include prescription pill bottles, planter casings. We include the plastic 4s, which are your grocery bags. It takes a whole lot to create a bale. Marietta, Florida has been very accommodating for helping us learn how to grow it and get it going. So, questions?
Well, we're gonna go ahead and go to the audience. Any questions? Anybody from the audience have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
How much is this gonna cost us? And how's it gonna affect the sanitation department?
So our fee is $20 a month. When you first sign up, there's a $10 setup fee. There's a deposit on the recycling bin. It's a refundable deposit. So once you finish with your service, if you cancel for any reason, anytime, and you get your deposit back. Once we receive our recycling bins back, we will return the deposit. So it's $20 a month for a weekly pickup.
Just to clarify, this is by choice only. We're just giving them a license. We may give them a license to do business in the city and to be the choice of the citizen if they want to do it or not. Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's not mandatory?
Pardon me?
No, ma'am.
It's not mandatory?
No, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I've got some comments, but I don't have questions.
Okay, you want to come up to the podium and give some comments?
When he's finished.
Okay.
Any other questions?
From here, I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
What year's your truck?
2022.
So you fit within the contract, you've been reading through the contract?
I did, and that's, you want, it can't be no older than 5 years old, and that's, wow, okay.
All right, well, we can talk about it.
Yes, sir.
Your trailer, you currently pick up from a trailer, is that an enclosed trailer or no?
It's an enclosed trailer, yes, sir.
Where did we come up with 1% gross to the city?
That was based on existing research of similar franchise agreements. They range anywhere from 1 to 5% of gross. I think state statute limits to 5.
I believe so, yeah.
Where are you currently doing business?
We're doing it in City of Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, East Point, St. George Island, Carabel, St. Teresa, Alligator Point.
Can you share that average number with us?
Average of what?
If you're paying the city any gross? 0 on all of them?
All of them, 0. And if you do, it requires to pay a franchise fee tax. Part of our funds that we take in is the initial setup. We collect a deposit, that's a refundable deposit. Rather than just gross receipts, just makes this on the service fees. The service fees would be the initial setup and the monthly bill. So it would exclude the deposit because the deposit is returned back to the customer who wants the council.
Once a month?
Once a month.
Any special day of the week?
Once they sign up, the system processes every month on that date of setup. So if you set up tomorrow, I will deliver the bin within the week and I'll collect. And this is not from the beginning of the month. And we don't prorate. We just go from. I'll deliver the bin within a week and we start picking up.
Do your days differ, or do you pick up the same time all the time?
For us, I've earmarked Fridays for Mexico Beach. So it would be Fridays for Mexico Beach.
Would that interfere with anything that we do,
No.
trash-wise, sanitation-wise? Friday?
It should not.
I work well with the guys in that Franklin County, so they wave at me, I wave back at them. I'm Waste One, Waste Pro.
Any other questions to the table?
Well, it sounds like, no questions, but it sounds like there's some contractual stuff that needs to be discussed. So I don't know how we could move forward until that is.
My understanding was that Mr. Pruitt wanted to get your read on the general franchise arrangement, and what I would recommend if you so choose to do so, that the motion would be to approve a franchise agreement with Florida FL 27 as presented with such modifications approved by the mayor at the time of signing.
I think there's probably some concerns on his part about the 26 pages of what's going on in that contract. Do you not have any problem with that contract? Have you read through it completely?
Well, he said he, I thought he said he did.
Yeah, he,
My wife read through it. We just saw it an hour ago. So there are some conditions within the contract that will, because I am just a startup, I am the only it. And my wife helps me with some of the admin stuff, so some of the community service events. We would love to be able to entertain 40 hours a year, 5 days, whatever the number of days that you have with us providing, supporting some of the community events. I can't commit to that because I do Apalachicola on Tuesdays, I do St. George Island on Wednesdays, I do City of Port St. Joe on Thursdays, I'm gonna do Mexico Beach on Fridays, I do Carabel, Alligator Point on Saturdays.
I think really before we do anything here at the table, I think we have to get an agreement with the vendor and the city, and then bring that contract back here and look at it. Because there's 26 pages in this contract, and it says a lot.
And most all of it, I think, Christie is comfortable with most all of it. It's just some of it, the conditions about the truck, the year of the truck, the community service hours, maybe some of the stuff about the insurance.
Okay, you just named 4 things that you have questions with, so
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna suggest we do that
Well, I just have one, I mean, but we would, speak for myself, we'd love to have a recycling program in Mexico Beach again, we just need to get,
Oh,
I mean, if it can be, you know, we just need to work it out.
Oh, I'm sure we can work it out. I mean, this is the first go. I'm glad we finally got to this draft. Thank you.
Could I make a point? I think Mr. Cox.
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to make
as soon
a
as you're
comment.
ready. I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
know-
ready.
Come on
He's
up.
ready.
Steve Cox, Charles Corner. All right, first off, council, number one, I totally oppose any kind of franchise agreement. Number one, as a council, I don't think you've done your due diligence. Number one. Number two, we currently pay $35 a month for sanitation. Put it on the citizens, like myself, and I'm an environmentalist. I want us to get stuff out of the landfill. But to pay him another $20 as a citizen, plus a $10 sign-up fee. My daughter lives in St. Pete, okay? I know it's a big metropolitan area, but they provide their own sanitation service. And what I'm gonna say is nothing against, our sanitation department is among the hardest working people in our city. But I believe the city could do their own thing. St. Pete does it. You know what she pays in St. Pete for trash and recycling? $31 a month. There's something wrong here. We don't need as a city to enter into any kind of franchise agreement. We do need the right to recycle. Some people will choose to do it, some people would not choose to do it. But it shouldn't go into my pocket or any of our neighbors' pockets another $20 or $30 a month. If we're gonna look at privatizing it, personally, I think Tommy's group could do it with the right kind of equipment. But to bring on a private contractor, if we're gonna privatize, we ought to privatize the whole thing. That's just my opinion. I mean, there's very little city government can do, or county or state or federal government can do better than the private sector, more efficiently and more economically. But, you know, no offense to this gentleman, but I don't support any kind of franchise agreement with a company that's a startup that's gonna go into our citizens' pockets. We already pay a lot of taxes. Our guys do a very good job, and with the right kind of equipment and the right kind of reorganization, we could do the same thing for a lot less money.
Thank you. We did talk about, the council did previously talk about and ask about the vendor to have a drop here at the city, and I guess that was a no. That's what it says here. Why that it couldn't be provided. Council wanna do that? Do they wanna take a look at another avenue?
Being a volunteer, I mean, I think that's, you either gonna want it or you don't want it, and he's got a pretty good deal for recycling, I mean.
I thought what was attractive to me was it could possibly help on the tipping fees that we're paying, because when you start looking at your own individual trash, all of a sudden you realize about half of this can be recycled. So that way we wouldn't be putting it in our garbage if we chose to use the recycling company. And then if, you know, that really became a good trend in our city, we could maybe hold up on so much of the tipping fee and maybe one day not have to buy another garbage truck as the city grows, because we're recycling and bringing it to a different area. So it could, you know, it is voluntary, it's not mandatory. So to me, the biggest thing was what it could save us on tipping fees.
What is the difference or benefit of doing just a business license versus the franchise discussion we're having here?
The business license is just a small fee.
Right, and so,
This would provide you an ongoing income.
and this would guarantee that that's the sole recycling service?
No, this is non-exclusive.
Okay.
One other, just one other statement to that. The franchise agreement also adds in certain things that don't exist in a general business license, such as we have regular check-ins with somebody at administration. We have terms in here that require them to provide email and phone number on our city's website for customer complaints or starting and stopping. Just some additional control things that would make life a little easier administratively. It also has the limitation, like we've already discussed, on the age of vehicles and things like that, those don't exist in a typical business license.
Does anybody ever, I mean, Tommy, do we know of ever trying to look into doing recycling at our facility? Have we ever looked at that? Has it ever been brought up? Never?
We used to have it before, but it's
We-
been many years.
We had it when it was in one
We
location.
had it here, and then you
Yeah.
could drop your white goods in the back, and they would just, but again, we had already decided, it seems like the contract is not even
Great.
ready, so maybe obviously Mr. Cox has got a lot of good things to say, and we should probably table this or move it to, or we can have more time with it, and this agreement can start being looked at to get the agreement back that both sides are happy with, and then I think during that time, we should be able to nail down, start looking at, do we want to, because we need recycling, I believe in that. And I always thought, well, we could get back to in-house, but I understand the cost and some things may be prohibitive, but we haven't really looked into that.
Yeah, I don't understand the cost, because I have never looked at the cost, so I don't know if it'd be 10% more, 20% more, I have no idea. So, is it something we wanna look into? Is it something that's fairly easy to get data on? You know?
I don't know off the top of my head. Let me do some digging on it and I can get back to you.
Well, let's, do we have a motion to table it and take it from there and investigate a little bit more from our side? And in the meantime, you can have some conversations over the contract.
Yeah. We're good with that? Motion to table it and let the attorney,
Do we have a second?
Second.
Go roll, please.
Mr. Lunderman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Thank you. Ms. Cox, I would suggest you get with city administrator, spend some time and give him some thoughts, and
I'd love to.
appreciate your input.
Thank you.
All right, deputy contract amendment, Mr. Pruitt.
You'll have in front of you the updated abstract. We did not include, the original abstract did not include the 5% annual bump that was required at the beginning of this year. The gist stays the same. The council already included funding for an additional deputy in the 25-26 budget, deputy starting on April 1st. The agreement needs to be amended to include the additional $60,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year. We currently have 6. Previous discussions are to increase that to 7 plus the supervisor. The cost of the current year was originally 1.067 and change million, and it's going to be 1.127 and change with the additional deputy. We budgeted 1.128, so we're still slightly under budget. This has gone through our legal as well as legal for the sheriff's office, and everybody's in agreement. So if you approve the expenditures and the amendment, we can move forward with adding the deputy.
And I would point out that this is a very short-term agreement or amendment. Your agreement's in a renewal term already. You had a 1 year with a 1 year renewal. You're in the 1 year renewal. So this is only going to take you from April 1st to September 30th. And I would recommend that before too long, we start working on a new agreement so that you'll know from a budgetary standpoint where you need to go after that.
Do we have any comments from the public? Anything at the table?
Wait.
Oh, shit. Oh, come on up.
Cindy Dolan, Mexico Beach. I certainly support, having security for our city. But one of the concerns I have is in the contract states that the sheriff has the right to call back the deputies should they have an emergency up there. And I feel like if we're paying to have officers here, this is their assignment, and our city should never go without protection. So I'd like for us to look at that, the upcoming contract, if we could.
Did you get that on the callback? Did you get that note? Anything else in the public? Haven't come to the table? Anything at the table?
No, we budgeted it, we were aware of what was going on, so
Next 6 months.
everything looks like it did at the budget time.
Do you have a motion to move forward on the amendment?
Make a motion, we approve the Bay County Sheriff Department contract amendment.
I'll second it.
Do we need a price on that, Tim?
Just the one you have before.
Okay.
Tammy, take a roll, please.
Okay, Mr. Linderman,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes. All right, we're moving on to the ordinance 851, beach and dune protection, second reading.
Yeah, I did want to point out that Mr. Truitt asked me to add under 99.05 permitted activities, subparagraph H, which allowed a dune walkover for the upland property as a permitted activity. So that's the addition since the last version you reviewed.
Well, would you go ahead and read what he asked you to do, because I'm the one that asked him to do it, and I had asked him to put in with permits.
Okay?
It doesn't say that right.
Right, that's the piece that we have to adjust tonight.
Correct.
Okay.
So, would you read how that's gonna read, please?
So you could put in one permitted, or city permitted walkover, or just permitted walkover. And so add that word permitted in between one and walkover.
Either built with permit or natural to the access of the beach.
Okay?
Golf properties, golf side properties.
That was the upland property language.
Yes, sir.
Council good with that, or?
No, I have gotten calls on that, and if I seen it was added, I'm need to.
Do we have a motion to read by title only?
I'll make a motion that we read ordinance 851 by title only. With the amendments of 99.05 H, making it be permanent.
Do we have a second?
Second it.
A motion and a second. Can we take a roll, please?
Mr. Linderman,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Ordinance 851. An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending the beach and dune protection zone in section 4.03.04C, codifying ordinance number 711, adding chapter 99 to the city of Mexico Beach Code to create to be entitled Beach and Dune Protection, relating to protection of the city's beaches and dunes, establishing the purpose and intent of the chapter, creating definitions, prohibiting certain activities in order to protect the city's dune system, identifying permitted activities, and providing for enforcement and penalties, and providing for repealer, codification, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. We get an open to public Conversation, anybody on the dunes? Yes, sir, come on up.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I just have a question. I haven't read the ordinance. What's the penalty? I mean, for the public, if someone's charged with
It's
violating it?
like $500.
Thank
I
you.
read the ordinance. I mean, I'll have to confirm that, but that's what I believe. it was.
That's correct.
500. Going once, going twice. Any other audience, public comments? Can we close that? Open the discussion at the table. We're good? Motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 851, beach and dune protection program.
Second.
And
With the
and
amendment
I'll provide you a
That is
clean copy, Mayor. for
permitted.
signature.
for the Gulfront property owners.
Got a motion and a second? Take a roll, please.
I'm sorry, who seconded? I didn't.
Linderman?
Mr. Linderman?
Why do I always go first? Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Wolf?
Yes. Didn't know she has a wheel underneath her desk, she just wheels it. Yeah, thank you.
It's $500.
Under section C. All right, we're moving on to the next thing, policy and procedure amendments, Mr. F. Rock, Chief Walker.
This is actually thanks to, sorry to email everybody, this is actually thanks to our financial guru over here. But he's passed it on to me, this is the person at the moment. So we have two small things we need to agree on. One is the, if we were to use a exempt or non-exempt employee who's temporarily replacing another employee to backfill, no matter what that job is that person is doing, they get paid the same amount of money as they were before. So if they're doing a lesser job, they're not going to get paid the hourly rate of that lesser job, they're going to get paid their normal hourly rate. And again, this just has to be in the paperwork so that when we put that in for reimbursement that we get it. If it's not in there, they would only reimburse us the amount that would have been paid to the original
So it
employee.
actually worked both ways.
Exactly,
The
yes,
higher amount.
exactly, yeah. All right, so that would be the first one that we would need to agree on. And then the second one is duplication of benefits, which is basically just another scenario where we have to have this paperwork in place so that we're not, we agree that we're not using two sets of funds for, or asking for two sets of funds, but only using half of it, so to speak, on the project. So I'm not going in and getting $100,000 for this to be replaced from FEMA and then going over here and getting $100,000 from a grant to do the same job. So we're not basically double dipping for all intents and purposes. So that is basically covering ourselves on that one. Both of those need to be added into our FROC abatement plan, which is due in at the end of this month. There are numerous other things that have to be popped in there, but none of those need to come to you. They're just dotting I's and crossing T's for them. But these are two of the items that do have to come in front of you because they're going to be added to policies and procedures.
We're getting open to the public. Any questions from the public on the FROC? There's two of them. Backfill employee policy and a duplication of benefits policy. Come to the table. Any questions? We have a motion approved and denied, both backfill employee policy and duplication of benefit
I think
policy.
you should do two
Two
different.
Two motions.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Let's do the backfill employees policy first.
So make a motion to approve amendment to policy and procedure per FDM and FROC requirements for the backfill employee. Anything else?
As presented.
As presented.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
The roll, please, Tammy.
Ms. Hamilton? Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Linderman?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes. All right, we're looking for a motion and approval for duplication of benefit policy.
Make a motion to accept amendment to internal control and procedure for FDIM and FROC requirements for duplication of benefits as presented.
Second it?
A motion and a second. Tammy, take the roll, please.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Linderman?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
And again, thank you to Mike
Thank you,
for
Chief.
putting it together.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on in our agenda, and we're going to citizens' comments. Before we get there, everybody should be excited about our new amphitheater that's coming. I am. One second. Everybody seen a picture of it? It's pretty awesome. There it is.
I'll put one up on the website as well.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
It looks a lot better than those couple pallets that are out there.
Is that the color?
Huh?
Is that the color?
Is that the color?
Yeah, the color.
I think so.
I hope not. I don't, it wasn't, that's not what, yeah.
It's natural wood, isn't it?
The top is natural wood,
Yeah.
and then the backstop, I believe, it's either concrete block or cement, I'm not sure which.
That picture looks stained.
I think it is. I think it's just, it's a copy, so I don't, that's not the original.
All right.
Whatever.
All right, let's get back to work here. Let's then move on to citizens' comments. Come to the podium, state your name. No citizens' comments? Close citizens' comments?
Oh, general, yeah.
Do you have something?
Not about that, right, just in general comments.
Citizens'
Yeah, we're under
comments, yes.
citizens.
All right, right.
Come on up.
Diane Kenny, Kim Cove. I was asked to read this tonight by Mitch Coleman, who could not make it because he had minor
Surgery.
well, yeah. Anyway, so don't shoot the messenger. Here's what he has to say. Since my name was brought into the conversation between the mayor and another council member about an email I sent to all council members, here's what the email was about. I have spoken at length with the two employees that filed the HR complaints. I emailed the council as an advocate of these employees attempting to resolve this without legal action. Neither employee wants the city to have to pay for their complaints. The resolution in my email was to terminate the CA, pay for 1-year health insurance, and remove derogatory comments in employee records. $6,000 for 1-year health insurance. That's it. The other would drop their claim, asking for nothing but be considered for promotion if position became available. So here we are, back in the news and back to legal action. Instead of standing by our employees we value. Disappointed in the lack of action, but hope things get resolved for the best interest of the city and employees.
Thank you.
But I have a comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have to say that I was really disappointed about the post on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I have over 10,000 people that are LinkedIn with me. And when I read what was written, it did not sit well with me at all because we value our employees, every single one of them. And when I see derogatory things being said about them, and then you were looking like you were trying to get people on your side, it did not sit well with me. And that's my biggest thing here, is our employees. We fought for them previously, and we're fighting for them again. So I would appreciate it if we could have more respect for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Citizens' comments? Anybody else? Going once? All right, citizens' comments closed, and then move to the table. Council comments?
I have some comments. So, just want to let the council and citizens know that the EV charging stations at the CDC are operational. There's 2 charging stations. I don't know how you get information, I guess it's on whatever system you use to charge a vehicle, but they're in operation. I've asked Chris, and I think he'll touch on it as a reminder, status of the ADA walkover engineering discussion. And I'd like to hear where we're at on the 15th Street Bridge also. I've been gone, so I'm gonna let Chris also give us a little FEMA update, but I do want to, come back to notify the council of the decision I made with FEMA and the pier, just so you're up to speed. They came back, the ecological survey opinion. The gentleman who said he was done like 3 weeks prior came back and had an issue with the fish cleaning stations on the pier. And he wanted to hold up the study to look at that. I made the decision, right or wrong, to go ahead and tell them we would address that later or move them off the pier. I did that so we didn't hold up the pier for another 3 to 6 months debating that. My recommendation is when the pier's done, we can go back and look at adding those on the pier itself, or we can move it off the pier like we do over at the boat ramp. But I didn't want to hide that from you. I wanted you to know I did that, and I think we saved several months of dragging their feet on this discussion to do that.
I'm sorry, can I jump in on that real quick?
Sure.
While you were busy eating olive leaves and everything else, they came back and said, nope, go ahead and keep the tubes.
Well, I didn't have to say a thing.
So, yeah, so we're back to the original plan.
But I should have probably told you right away, I forgot about it. There are times, and I will try and keep you updated, that there may be decisions that can be made to keep this thing going, and that's just an example of the, I was gonna say silliness that's involved in this, but it's like they're looking for any excuse to delay this to do their job, and so I'm really, and Chris and I are really working hard to keep this thing moving. One last thing. Since we're talking about recycling, I would like to see, or at least talk about, having a drop-off point in the city for appliances, metal, that sort of thing. And maybe it's not a good idea. I know I've talked to Tommy about this, and there's issues with refrigerant and some other things. Maybe we have, I've seen other cities where once a year, twice a year, they have a day where people can turn anything in, and the city takes care of it. But I just think the residents here, especially since so many are older, could use that capability at least a couple times a year to dispose of things you can't put in the trash. And I think it would save our trash trucks from having metal objects put in them, hidden in the garbage can and damaging them. So that's it, thank you.
I can look into that while I'm looking into the recycling options.
As you're looking at recycling large equipment, just get rid of it, and then I think you should also probably include paints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get it all at one time. Any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment. You know, yesterday there was a lot of things talked about at the table, obviously from me. I do want to move forward with city business and things that need to be addressed. The one thing I wanted to be clear to the citizens of Mexico Beach is on one issue, because I've read social media and stuff, my comments regarding the sheriff's department are in no way advocating that we should be with the sheriff department or not. I said that at the March 11th meeting, that it was the way it was handled, the way the comment, the emails came out. And I said at any time, it should have been handled if we want to explore bringing the police department back, that it would come to this table and we would make that decision, and then we would give direction to the proper. So I just wanted to clarify that. Me bringing that up was the way that it was brought to, not the way it was brought to our attention, but the way it was handled. So I just wanted to be clear to the citizens that anytime the council, if that's something we want to explore, by all means, we can look at that. I just wanted to address that and yesterday. Man, I hate to bring stuff up. I was trying to confirm some stuff. This wasn't really talked about yesterday. I just want to confirm it here by you guys. I had received a call last week. I was on vacation in Washington, and I received a call probably last Tuesday from an employee that was concerned about an employee's whereabouts. Are they here or not? My comments to that employee, and I will say it was a female employee, I'm not going to bring names unless I need to. I said, I'm on vacation. I am a city council. I don't think this is my affair. Somebody needs to decide, find out if he's in Bay County or if he is not here at the city. And that's kind of where that conversation ended. I just went on about my business. I came back Thursday late, Friday. I looked back at an email from a citizen. And I read something in there about an employee granted emergency leave, but no emails were sent to inform council department heads or his pay status, and something about a floating holiday. I didn't think much of it. Friday late, I called that citizen. What are you talking about? He said, well, that's what I hear. I said, okay. So yesterday morning, I went into the payroll clerk, and I asked, I said, was this employee paid for last week? And I never followed up on it yesterday. It was a day, obviously we were all here. I went into the department several hours ago. I was in City Hall. I didn't think I would make it. I was reviewing something else, and I asked, do you have that information? She said, the finance director has the information you're looking for. So I briefly spoke with Mike, the finance director, and it was confirmed that the employee was not here last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I said, okay. Second, Mike was a little concerned, and Mike says, I said, well, was he paid? Yes, we paid him for Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday's day goes on the next week. I said, okay. And at that point, he was gonna talk to the powers that be, talk to Chris, and let's find out what exactly happened here. It was confirmed he wasn't here. So and Mike was, he was honest. He said, I just wasn't aware that he wasn't here, and we paid him for the 2 general days. Now I don't know what's going to happen with Wednesday. And he also brought up, well, it's in the manual. Yes, he can have leave without pay. Everybody can. You just come in and you say, I gotta take off. So he pointed it out to me, so I went and read it, and it says leave without pay is time off the job without pay. And employees on leave without pay do not earn any sick annual leave, but do but do earn seniority, there is no entitlement to leave without pay, and it's up to the direction of management to approve the following guidelines. Employees must submit a written request in writing indicating all pertinent information, including the amount, time, reason, start date. Request is submitted to the department head and approved by the city administrator. No sick leave or annual leave will be accumulated while on leave without pay. Leave cannot be granted for such academics if on behalf of the city, military access, approved military leave, medical emergencies. This list is not all inclusive. You know, it says there is no earned entitlement to leave without pay, and it must be approved in advance by management. So I just wanted to clarify, was the leave approved? Do we know?
Can you ask a direct question? What are we talking about? Who?
I'm talking about Mr. Steele
Okay, we're
not
talking
being
about Mr.
here
Steele wasn't
last
here.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, there, that's the question. The question is, Mr. Steele wasn't here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Wednesday?
That's what I'm,
Is that what you're saying?
right, correct?
Okay,
That's what I've been told.
that's a question being asked, so.
Yep.
How do you answer that?
And he was not here?
Correct.
Okay. So did he, I mean, obviously, did he give you a written indication of his leave, or is it, you know, we have that question. And I mean, I think do we have a written indication of his leave, Mr. Steele? Did you?
No, sir, it was a last minute emergency.
Last minute emergency? Okay. And I understand emergencies.
So I think, I think to answer your question, here's what we're dealing with. When it comes to situations like that, we had a bereavement question come up not that long ago, kind of a similar thing. There really isn't, just go do what you gotta do and we'll figure it out later. So what I was planning on doing when he got back is that should have been that Monday, Tuesday, that Monday should have been the start of the new pay period.
Or Monday, Tuesday was on the previous pay period.
That's what I learned, because our pay periods end up going Wednesday through Tuesday. So I couldn't figure out what to do before that pay period went. So in doing some research with finance, we were looking at, all right, what is allowable from the Fair Labor Standard, FLSA, which states you can't withhold pay. So then is the answer, well, he just has to make up time. If we come back and find out we can withhold pay, then we'll withhold that on the next pay period. So that was my mistake for not understanding that our pay period starts on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that, and I was just concerned that it made it to the direction of, for him to get paid, but now you're saying with the Florida Act, that that wasn't I guess you're saying that wasn't a mistake or not, it was just, it still needs to be worked out.
It still needs to be worked out.
Yeah, and Mr. Mike, he said, you know, we are working on, you know, docking it from the next pay, or, you know, it was just coming to his light too, and I said, look, just work on it.
Yep.
But it just seemed like it kind of, you know, it wasn't just 2 days, it went 3 days, and, well, from what I gather, I mean, I guess, you obviously knew about it, but, I mean, nobody else really knew, but he's the one that he answers to.
Right, I don't broadcast.
Yeah, and then the fact that he got paid for a couple of days for not being here, obviously.
Yeah, like I said, that's my fault. In my past 30 years of management, I've never had worked at a company where a pay period starts on a Wednesday.
Okay.
So we are figuring it out. We have to make sure we do what's legal for FLSA, and according to our handbook, which I think we're looking at.
So is everything good, all right?
Yes, sir, so if you want to make it public, my wife had an emergency surgery.
Yeah, I just wanted to be.
Cut open and remove 7 tumors, so.
Yeah. Is
She's
she all
okay,
right?
she's with my parents, yes.
Alright, is that it? Okay.
Is it?
Do we have it as a past practice, is this normal or abnormal? How do we handle other situations with emergencies? Have you not been here long enough to know that, maybe?
This is the first
Tammy, have we
situation
had
like
people
this.
have emergencies and left?
If it's an emergency situation, their supervisor is contacted and the supervisor, you know, approves it.
Okay,
It's an
Tommy, have you had
emergency
that type of
situation.
situation?
I can't really think of any time we've had that situation, but the only thing I would say that if any of my people were an emergency, I would email the council and the city administrator and the department heads and let them know that they would not be here.
Yeah, I've never received one, so I just didn't have an emergency.
So,
Chief, you ever had an emergency, somebody had to go?
Not in a situation similar to that one.
All right.
What about Garrett?
No, ma'am.
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
You can't I mean, I was just thinking if it did work, and I know about it. But if you did work, I don't think we should pay him not less. But I know you said we was investigating, so.
And he's either going to get paid for the time and then have to make it up, kind of like a reverse comp situation, or not get paid for the time.
Yeah, we probably have to go by whatever our handbook says, and that's probably the easiest thing to do. So, you need to get back to, Mr. Adams there and let him know.
As soon as we find out.
Good deal. Anything else at the table?
I will be here tomorrow, Tommy.
Okay.
And thank you, Steve, you've been good.
All right, nothing else at the table? Mayor comments? Chris asked you about a mailbox. Any drop box? Any information on that?
Unfortunately, no. So I reached out to the postmaster in Port St. Joe, and he said, nope, we're not doing that. He gave me the reason that USPS nationwide is trying to pull back the blue boxes, especially in high crime areas. So I essentially appealed that to the regional postmaster, and I haven't heard back from that person yet. We had reached out to UPS as well for a possible drop box there. He actually left me a voicemail when I was in a meeting this afternoon, and I haven't had a chance to call him back yet to see what that's going to look like.
Okay. All right, I want to just cover a little bit of area here. When I was on council, and we had a city administrator that had an issue, and we tried to deal with that, went from 0 to 60 and tried to fire him on the same day. And it didn't work, and we didn't fire him. But I believe there was enough information at the table that something should have been done and nothing got done. I'm not gonna let that happen here. I'm gonna give us an opportunity to right a wrong. We made a decision not to fire our city administrator. And I believe that was the right decision, 3 to 2, that's the way it went. That does not mean that we don't take any action and just go forward. I'm gonna ask the council, is that what they wanna do? Because if that's what they wanna do, I'm not sure we're making any progress. This is called progressive discipline. I think there has to be something, whether it be a probationary period, whether it be a restriction for hiring, and send that approvals to the council for a period of time, or whatever it is. There are enough, I'll use the term red flags, that I think that we should take some action. I did not agree with the firing. I just didn't want to go there, and that's how I feel. I want to plead to the council to tell me, is there something we want to do? And if there is, I think we ought to schedule a meeting next week. You ought to take the rest of the week to think about it, write down some notes of what you think should happen. And I think we ought to take some action, whether it be a probationary period or with the result of termination if we don't see the improvement. Or the same things keep going. I don't think we could just ignore this stuff. We made a serious, serious decision, and we have no actions other than fire on them. It's not right. My personal opinion.
Okay, to follow up on that, I think at the meeting yesterday, we did decide to go ahead and hire, an agency to help us with the human resource aspect of it. I would like to pursue that first, because we do plan on spending a good bit of time and consulting with a lot of different employees and getting a lot of different sides to different stories. Because, you know, I don't wanna just base things on rumor and Facebooks and, you know, just things that are out there in social media. But I thought that was the whole purpose of agreeing to hire a human resource person and a human resource company, so that we could further pursue what's separate the facts from the fiction. And I
Right.
think that would be wiser to do that before we make any decisions.
Right, but I think in the facts and the fiction is that we're at a 50-50 place. So we could decide to monitor it through probation, or we can ignore it and keep going forward.
So, my recommendation is we separate the HR investigation with the other red flags or concerns we have, and until the HR investigation is complete, we deal with those other concerns we have. And I'm talking about some poor judgment and some other concerns of whether someone's been truthful or not to us. And I agree, Mr. Truitt, I personally have talked to him, and I think he's under a microscope, and I think we should put some kind of timeline to giving him specific guidance on what improvement we want to see and what areas we want to evaluate him on as far as his potential for staying with the city and regaining the trust of some of the citizens and the council. And so I'm for a probationary period. I'm also for temporarily or maybe permanently changing the hiring authority of key positions, directors, public works, water and sewer, finance, to final approval of the council, and take, even if we didn't have the issue, the concerns of how the process took place, that would put it in our hands, and I think 5 of us making the final decision would be better than one. We probably wouldn't be in this position that we're in today. But, so I concur with generally what the mayor's proposing, but I want to think about that a little more. I'd like to come back in a workshop and discuss that. And I think we also, as a group, need to give Mr. Truitt our expectations of him and what our standards are at that point, or individually. I don't care, but I think we owe that to him, to let him know what we expect of him, that perhaps we think he let us down on. And I think we should probably come together as a council during some set timeline and discuss where we think he's at. And then, alongside with that, we'll deal with the HR concerns as that is briefed back to us as a separate portion of this. It may run together, but for the time being, to make those improvements I think are needed, we separate that out.
I just jotted down some, a 3-month probationary period, and I believe over that 3 months, the council meets with him every 30 days in that 3-month period. And also, the restrictions to hire. Council final approval on all department heads, foremen, or supervisors. So I'd like to see a team effort and the council to make that decision. I think there's enough communication here that we could put something together, maybe by, I know I'm out of town here as of tomorrow, and I think you were headed out, were you?
Thursday, till the 1st.
When are you in town?
I'll be in town.
day are you looking at?
Maybe the 3rd of April,
I'll be.
Thursday? Sure.
You let me check, I got staff here a couple of days.
So you're calling a workshop or a special meeting?
Well, yeah, special meeting of the council, yeah.
Just to discuss
First and second.
the options,
Action, what
actions, what, yeah, the
Thursday. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Thursday.
Yes, sir. Do it in the morning?
oh yeah.
A workshop.
Everybody good? Special meeting.
I'm sorry, what time did you say?
Did you say 9 o'clock, or what about you, sir?
10 o'clock then?
Is it this Thursday or
No,
next?
third.
Thursday, the 3rd of April.
Okay. I can move an appointment if you want me to be here.
Okay.
This is a workshop.
This is just gonna be a special
Special
meeting
meeting.
for the council to come up with a way going forward over the next 3 months if we decide to put the city administrator on probation.
Or would we rather wait till we get some information from the human resource company that, is it, did you have something to say? Okay.
I do. If I can,
Just go ahead.
Okay, so to me, we're hiring a human resource company and paying them a fair amount of money. I would like to do more fact gathering, because before it's all said and done, there may be more than one employee we want to put on probation. We need to get our facts straight before we move forward.
Yeah, I think the separation, we have to do the HR, investigation. That's,
Yeah.
we're going forward, and that should move pretty quick, I think. I don't even know if we can really bring that into what we're discussing now, as far as the other things that we have addressed. So I can understand talking about what we're gonna do about these other, I know we need to find out the outcomes of the investigations, no doubt. So that's, y'all know where I was,
I mean,
what I had to say, so I said we would move forward, and if the table wants to call this meeting and we discuss a probation period, I would.
I just would like to see, before we start the clock running on a 90-day probation period, let's get all the facts together first. And that's up to us as city council members. We can go into Chris's office anytime and tell him our expectations.
Yes.
And what we want him to do. And I feel very comfortable, and I think all of y'all do too. But why not gather the facts correctly first? Get the whole summary of facts of the situation before we start the countdown on a 90-day probation.
Well, I just didn't think that some of the facts that we were addressing is even in the HR suit.
I think the HR suit is, my opinion is, HR suit is separate of everything. It's gonna start on Thursday, and it's separate of the items that were brought up Monday night.
I think the sooner we meet, the better. I wish we didn't have to wait till next week to meet. I would prefer to do it soon, and I think we need to take action soon, not let this continue.
So do we want to do it this week? I mean, is
Do you wanna do it tomorrow morning? We can't do it in 24 hours.
But,
I don't think-
good for me. And you got to, I can't tomorrow.
I can't either.
I'm not saying we meet tomorrow, I'm just saying I wish we could meet sooner, but the sooner we meet, the better, and I'm okay with next week. I think we need to sit down and talk about this and put a plan in place, and I believe we can separate the HR. In fact, I don't wanna wait until the HR is done, that could take weeks. We need to address this soon.
We can't meet this week after this week, Thursday, Friday?
I'm gone.
Oh, yeah, you said you're gone, yeah,
I'm
that's
gone
right.
also.
And he's leaving too. Okay, so we can't really meet, so we'll just leave it at
Yeah, I'm okay with that, I'm just saying, I guess what I'm really trying to say, we need to meet soon, we need to address this, and I don't think we need to wait weeks until the HR process is done, and I'm afraid, I understand there may be results that come out of that could affect this, but I think there's enough difference between some of this that we need to proceed with taking some actions against some things I think need to be addressed soon.
April the 3rd, is that good, 10 o'clock?
And just one more thing, as far as the HR, we do know there, I was made aware today, and I'm sure all of you too, that there are 3 additional complaints. So that, to me, that adds to the summary of our situation.
3 at mobile? Well, they said 4.
I went into Tammy's office and just, confidentially.
More than 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
well,
wanna
Phil-
address that, Tammy, the exact number?
Yes, it is 4.
Okay.
Okay, 4.
We had the 2, yes.
So we're still fact gathering here. We're trying to get a summary of the whole situation, a summary of the whole picture. Is that correct?
We're trying to get a summary of the items that are not related to the harassment case. Correct. Council, we going to,
I said Thursday's good.
Thursday's good. Make it?
April 3rd.
Now, you did say one other thing, that you said the investigation will start this Thursday. Is that what I'm hearing? I did not know.
Correct.
Y'all talked to them and they're coming, I mean, everything.
Yes. I was gonna email out.
Yeah, we want to
I'll
move it
check
as
it.
quick as possible. Thursday was the first day available, so
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Okay, so we're good to go on April the 3rd.
What time?
Come prepared, 10 o'clock. Come prepared with either platform, whatever you think actions we should take to move forward. Yes. All right. That's it for me. Staff comments?
Mayor, did I say something?
Excuse me.
I just want to say I got 3 days left. I want to say thank you to all my employees. I got the best employees you could have. It's been an honor and pleasure to serve all of you for 18 years. I appreciate everything you've done for me. I get emotional, I'm sorry, but I love all of y'all. And Sandy, Garrett, thank you for all your help. Thank you. I
We
love you.
love you too.
Staff comments?
Anything else from staff?
Right, good.
So I have just a couple.
Okay.
Status of the ADA walkover construction. We are looking at 1 to 2 fully ADA walkover compliant, ADA compliant walkovers, which would essentially be boardwalk from 98 down to the toe of the dune. We're in talks with Anchor to see what the cost would be for that engineering. I was just informed today that there may be additional options they're going to come forward with. So as soon as I know what we're looking at in terms of are there funds that we have to allocate for design, or there are different things we can do. One of the suggestions was pulling up what we have and reconfiguring. As soon as Anchor gives me that information, we'll be able to move forward. This is in addition to the grant that we are pretty sure we received that'll come this summer for additional planning for that. The 15th Street Bridge update. Anchor went back to the vendor to ask for if there are any shifts we can make in the work they're doing versus we're doing, or material quantity or quality changes. And there are a few options that could save us anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000. So we're still evaluating what that's going to look like.
Oh, did you do what I asked you to?
Which was that? Which
The
on the gator?
original with the gator, they just said it was a crane, we had to do a little something, and it was a lot less than $600,000.
We went out and looked at what we would have to do. And the challenge or the cost is a lot of that's going to be the engineering for the sidewalks. So we actually have to push that. I think the measurement was 20-ish feet away from 15th Street, because we have water lines, gas lines, power lines, and then we have the banks which need abutments and everything else. So that's part of what we're looking at. The cost for the bridge itself was one of the other things you asked me to look at, and that's one of the recommendations that came back, changing that back down to just an aluminum structure.
I mean, I don't understand how we went from one amount to $600,000, and we didn't pay the engineer, I mean, not look, but we got somebody to look, and what we could do, and then now all of a sudden we just, I don't understand why we didn't go back to our original, from the Gator to put the bridge and let us do the works and rent a crane and set it down. So less than our original amount.
Is it true that Gator did not bid it?
Oh, yeah, they bid.
Did they bid?
This week, go ahead.
So, let me address this a little bit. I wasn't here for the council discussion. I'm very familiar with this because I wrote the grant for this. I worked with Gator, they came out here, and I worked with Doug Baber, and we discussed this. So one of the issues is Gator only builds the bridge, they don't replace it. What they offered up when they came out was they used some companies that could do the emplacement, the construction work and emplacement. And they had an estimate of, I think, 150,000 and 200,000 for the bridge. And that was several years ago now. It's been probably close to 3 years. We didn't bid it that way, and I don't, and I can't answer to that, but because Gator only would provide the bridge, we would have to do the engineering work and contract somebody else. That price from Gator at the time for the bridge, aluminum bridge, 5 foot wide, was $200,000. Now it was almost 3 years ago. They estimated about $150,000 just to put the abutments in and to hire a company. No sidewalks, none of that was in it. That's what I know to be the case, Jerry. Why it's gotten so high, I feel like we're kind of getting taken advantage of by some of these guys. But I think we need to work on
I
lessening
think we
the
just
cost.
go back and ask Gator, I think we do, that's $300,000.
Gator,
We need
you can't do that though, Jerry. I mean, there's a bid package that goes out, and the bid package has some legalities, so you just can't go to somebody and say,
We already got a bid from them.
Well, actually, we didn't get a
We
bid.
did not
We
get a
didn't get a
bid
bid,
from
we got an estimate from them.
only on the bridge.
Why?
The bid had everything from start to finish, and that's the 3 companies that bid it. So now that it's bid, we can't just go to Gator and tell them to do
Yeah,
it.
and that's why we asked for $350,000 in the appropriations grant. That's what I know.
So the bottom line is, we're still working on options to see how low we can get that cost. And then we'll come back with our recommendations on that, whether whether the recommendation is to accept a low bid, accept with any of these changes, or decline the bids and start over and do something else.
You brought up the bridge, so we can go ahead and talk about it, since we've been talking about it. I mean, we have 3 bids. I mean, I called Moore and I talked to them about what they could do as far as cutting costs, where they got to. And my understanding is there's $5,000 whether we go with galvanized or aluminum. That's a no-brainer. Go with aluminum, maintain the 5,000, I would think, just because of the erosion. The other area that could save any money was whether you do it it was bid in concrete. The only thing is to go to a Trex, and there's about a $30,000 savings there. If it's a bike path and walking path, that $30,000 could probably be saved.
You're talking the decking.
Decking, correct. But there's nothing else there to beat up on. I mean, if we want to lay the sod, I guess, we can save some money by, eliminate them laying the sod and we lay it ourselves.
Can I re-interrupt you right a minute?
Absolutely.
I can ask Julie that I bid for our bathroom. I initially bid for our 3 bids was around 600,000. We stopped somehow and we went to the other route, which I think we got 2 in them. When you say we can't, I think we can. I think we're just not looking in the right direction. And 3 bids is fine. I mean, but we want $300,000 of somebody's money.
To make your plea there valid, yes, we can eliminate the 3 bids, rebid the process, and start over, knowing that in 30 days, we're gonna be hit with about a 25–30% tariff on steel, and it's not gonna get cheaper. So we can do your scenario, but there's a cost to do it. And that's the council's decision.
So, there's no way we can just go to Gator and ask them to give us an estimate or bid.
Not if you have already done a bid project.
And I think I seen this on the board for the next meeting. The bridge is on the board for the April 7th, whatever.
April 8th.
April 8th meeting.
It's on for April 11th, we're gonna get the same information.
I'm just saying,
I just tell you,
we get it to the table, we discuss.
like many things in this city, this thing has been dragging now for probably 3 years. And it is a priority. Somebody's gonna get.
No, it's a priority. I will 100%. We have to have
And
it.
so, I would like to move forward quickly. I wish we could, you know, I don't know if the name you say by bidding out for just the bridge and then bidding out for someone to replace it, but I think we're running out of time, and you have a good point. I think there's gonna be a tariff on aluminum and steel shortly, and it's gonna bite us, just like the pier costs keep going up and up. And so, my recommendation is we figure out the cheapest way to do this, and we budget the extra money and we go forward before it gets even more expensive.
We know we need to come up with about $306,000, and there's 900 and something in the 0.5% that we could pull out of and probably move forward pretty easy based on that. And we could probably get I'd say at the most we could probably get it reduced by 50,000 or so. I think we could probably work that out.
Yeah, I hadn't realized that the sidewalk issues and the gas lines, that adds some complexity to it. I don't know how much does that add to it?
I don't have a dollar figure for that.
It's like $17,000 just in traffic movement, managing the traffic movement on 15th. It's like $17,000, I think, or something.
Yeah, I know we had to, you know, you weren't here, but you read it. It's, you know, we have to have 2 engineers. Elizabeth told us that to, you know, to do the project at per state code guidelines. So a lot of things that kept.
Added to it.
Can we, we're gonna have a special meeting on Thursday. Can we add to that agenda?
Sure. Because you got more than 24
Would you
hours.
guys mind if we get a city administrator expedite the 15th bridge information from the engineer and then do the 15th Street Bridge at the same time?
I would love to get it resolved. We're just waiting for that date. We had it on the agenda, so I mean.
I think she has enough information to get that moving along.
And I just want to make a recommendation, reference that. There are some projects that are higher priority than others, and I think we need to tell the CA when we think that, so he gives that direction to the engineering company, because right now, I don't believe they have this as a priority, it's just a regular project, and I think it's a priority project. So we should keep that in mind in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've been in discussion, not to carry on, about with the CA about projects, getting them to the table quicker, to the process quicker, so we eliminate this time gap. And we've talked to finance, I have, about, I don't know if it's him, but getting these projects more
Yeah.
in the original scope of the money that we want to spend. 'Cause
What I'm
Yeah.
advocating for, Jason, is don't make him read our minds. Let's tell him that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
priority. We want them to, we want you to make it clear. If they tell us it's 30 days, tell them it's a priority, we want it done in 3 weeks or something. I think we owe that to him.
Enforce that information. All right, so we'll go ahead and add to the agenda to discuss the 15th Street Bridge along with city administrator. We are on staff comments, so there's still your floor. Anything else?
Yeah, pier, we covered. Nothing more than that. So I do have a statement for all of you. I want to take a moment to address the concerns regarding the hiring process for Tommy's position and the challenges that have arisen as a result. So first and foremost, my intention was never, then or now, to push anyone out of a role. I apologize if that was the perception. When Tommy announced his retirement, I immediately began the search for his replacement to ensure a smooth transition. As was done with Mary's and Sherry's positions, the goal was to bring someone in as quickly as possible so they could train while the incumbent was still here. None of the applicants who expressed an interest had all the skills or experience needed to be a department head. While many did have the technical job duty skills, they did not have the human resources, financial, or management skills or experience needed to be as effective as a department head. Others that may have had that experience hadn't stayed at any given employer for very long. I'm not going to put a candidate in a position if I don't feel the candidate is 100% capable. That's simply setting somebody up for failure. I have already offered to work with our internal candidates on the missing pieces so that they'll be prepared for the next opportunity. So understanding that we didn't have a viable candidate, I quickly reached out to someone who I knew could do the job, someone with experience in public works, as well as the human resources, financial, and management skills and experience needed. In hindsight, I now understand that that process I followed was not what some residents and members of the council would have preferred, and for that I sincerely apologize. I made a mistake. Additionally, I recognize that allowing a new hire temporarily stay at Public Works while searching for housing was also not in line with council expectations, and I regret that decision, as well as, again, offer my apologies. Transitioning into a new role comes with a learning curve, and I'm doing my best to understand not only what the needs, but also the expectations of the council employees and community are. With over 30 years in management, including 9 years at state government management, having started and run my own business, I know that hiring is not about finding a flawless candidate who will never make mistakes, but rather it's about bringing in a capable individual who is willing to learn, grow, and improve, and that's the position that I find myself in today. So my hope is that the council will see my commitment to learning from my missteps and allow me the opportunity to move forward. Other than a brief and difficult experience in Miami, where I quickly realized the Midwestern was out of place, I've dedicated, as I said, 9 years to working for the state of Wisconsin, and another 9 years serving 4 terms as an elected council member in my municipality. I value stability, dedication, and self-improvement. So what I will say is that I believe in addressing challenges, learning from mistakes, and moving forward. One of my personal mottos is life is a learning experience, not a final exam. This applies not only to me personally, but also to the relationship I have with those who report to me. A stable, supportive work environment encourages innovation and improvement, benefiting both our team and the services we provide to the community. So I'm choosing to use the recent events as a learning opportunity, understanding what went wrong, what went right, and what needs to or could be improved. So my next focus is finding ways to make those improvements. Again, I just want to thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. I look forward to working together to strengthen our city and to continue to move forward in a positive direction. That's it for today.
All right, the only other thing on the agenda is the next scheduled council meeting, April the 8th.
Yes, that was a typo.
Yeah,
I get,
I read that. April the 8th.
Yes.
Everybody realizes the 22nd is election day. Eric, you're probably the only guy that's excited about that. Gary's back there. Yeah, there you go. And so we'll meet on the 23rd at 6 o'clock instead of the 22nd. Other than that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.